The SUVs that save you the most money usually feel boring on a test drive. That is the point. The market chases giant screens, fresh redesigns, and badge drama, while smart buyers chase proven engines, conventional automatics, and service records. A smooth test drive is nice, but a quiet repair bill 5 years later matters more. That is the bigger argument in this video. We are not hunting for hype. We are hunting for SUVs that mechanics do not hate seeing come back through the shop. Number 8 is the driver's choice that stays calm if you buy the right years. Number 1 is still expensive for its age because people who know what lasts keep buying it. Number 8, Mazda CX-5. This is the SUV for drivers who want sharp road manners without signing up for expensive surprises later. The sweet spot is 2017 through 2019 in touring or grand touring trim, with the naturally aspirated 2.5-liter four-cylinder and the 6-speed automatic. That combination matters. Keep it simple. The naturally aspirated engine is easier to trust long-term than the later turbo story, and the 6-speed automatic is one of those conventional gearboxes mechanics still respect because it behaves like a normal transmission, not a science project. The reason this SUV lasts is not magic. It has a proven engine, a responsive automatic, solid build quality, and fewer oversized repair traps than a lot of rivals that looked more exciting in the showroom. Mechanics like these because they are straightforward to service. The engine bay is not a disaster, and the cars usually age in a clean, predictable way if oil changes are done on time. You do need to stay picky about years. I would be more careful with 2013 and 2014 first-generation examples, and I would not rush into every 2016 either, because those years do not look as clean in owner complaint patterns as the later run. Used pricing still makes the case. A clean 2017 to 2019 model usually sits around $11,000 to $17,000, depending on miles, trim, and region. That is fair money for an SUV that can still be a safe buy at 150,000 miles, and sometimes 180,000 miles if the history is straight and the service story is boring. Now the honest part. These are not perfect. Infotainment glitches do happen, especially if the screen starts acting moody, freezing, or rebooting. Belt tensioner noise or minor seep issues can show up, and you want to catch that before it turns from a small annoyance into a bigger bill. Then there is the normal used SUV stuff, suspension wear and brake wear, especially if the previous owner drove it hard over rough pavement. My 3-point check is simple. Make sure the screen works every time. Listen for front accessory noise at idle and after warm-up. Then drive it over broken pavement and pay attention to brakes, clunks, and steering feel. Buy the cleanest, naturally aspirated one you can find. Keep the fluids fresh. And this is one of those SUVs that stays sharp without becoming stressful. Number 7, Honda CR-V. People mock this SUV for being boring, right up until it keeps starting, shifting, and driving, while newer rivals head back to the shop. The zone I like here is 2013 to 2014 in LX, EX, or EXL trim with a 2.4-liter four-cylinder and the 5-speed automatic. That setup is old school in the best way. No turbo drama, no weird transmission experiment, just a proven engine and a transmission that has already shown people exactly what it is. Mechanics like these because the engine bay is easy to work on, parts are everywhere, and the drivetrain has a long record of just doing the job. That matters when you are buying something to keep, not something to impress strangers in a parking lot. I would not build this video around 2015 because that year gets more owner gripes than the cleaner years around it. And if the promise is buy once, drive forever, I would also skip the more complained about 2017 through 2019 range and keep the recommendation tight. Used prices are still strong because the market understands this one. Expect roughly $8,000 to $14,000 depending on trim, mileage, and whether you are looking at front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. In return, you get an SUV that is still normal buy territory at 160,000 miles, and even 200,000 miles is not scary if the records are real and the maintenance was not lazy. Now let's be honest about the weak spots. One is the VTC-style cold start rattle. If you hear that brief grind or ugly startup chatter, do not pretend it is normal. Next is an AC trouble, usually condenser or compressor related, and you need to make sure it blows truly cold after a real drive. not just for 30 seconds in a driveway. Third is the all-wheel drive rear differential neglect. When the fluid gets ignored, you can get binding, groaning, or awkward low-speed behavior in tight turns. My 3-point buying check is easy. Start it stone cold and listen. Run the AC long enough to know it is real. Then do a tight low-speed turn and feel for any rear diff complaint. Keep fresh fluid in the rear diff, stay ahead of the AC, and this is exactly the kind of practical SUV that earns trust the slow, boring, reliable way. If you care more about repair bills than dealership chatter, subscribe. This channel is for buyers who want practical truth, proven years, and less regret. Number 6. Nissan Xterra. This is the real SUV buyers overlook when they want something tough, simple, and far less fragile than a modern crossover. The one we want is the 2011 through 2015 S or Pro 4X with the 4.0-liter V6 and the 5-speed automatic. That is the safe lane. Those later second-generation trucks kept the truck-based layout, the tall seating, and the real hardware. But they moved past the ugly radiator and transmission cross-contamination story that stains the 2005 through 2010 range. That older problem matters because coolant mixing with transmission fluid can turn a cheap deal into a brutal repair bill fast, so I would not gamble there unless the radiator was replaced early and the proof is solid. Mechanics like the latter Xterra because it feels honest. The V6 is old school, the 5-speed automatic is proven. The body-on-frame setup is serviceable, and there is less crossover fragility here than people expect. It still feels like a real SUV, not a lifted hatch with rugged trim. Used prices move a lot with rust, miles, and four-wheel drive demand, but the healthy buying lane for these later trucks is roughly $9,000 to $18,000. Safe mileage is better than most shoppers think. If the service story is clean, 180,000 miles is not scary, and even 220,000 miles can still be reasonable territory. Now the honest part. Failure point 1 is timing chain guide noise. Especially if you're looking at trucks with a fuzzy history. A whining or metallic front engine noise is the clue. And that repair can slide from moderate to painful money depending on labor and what else is found. Failure point 2 is rear axle seal leakage. If you see dampness at the rear axle ends or smell gear oil after a drive, take it seriously, because ignored leaks can contaminate the brakes and grow from a smaller bill into a costly cleanup. Failure point 3 is age-related suspension and leaf spring wear. If the rear sits tired, the ride gets bouncy, or it clunks over broken pavement. Budget for springs, shocks, and bushings. Listen for front engine whine, inspect the rear axle area for wetness, and drive it over rough pavement to feel for sag, bounce, or loose body control. Keep fluids fresh, stay ahead of rust, and do not treat a truck-based SUV like it is invincible, just because it looks tough. Number 5. Toyota Highlander. This is the family SUV that wins by being quiet, useful, and almost annoyingly reliable year after year. The zone I like here is the 2012 through 2014 V6 models, especially Plus, SE, or limited trims, with the 3.5-liter V6 and the 5-speed automatic on the older body, or an early third-generation V6 if the price is right and the history looks clean. This is one of the least fussy 3-row SUVs sold in America, and that is exactly why mechanics respect it. The V6 has a long reputation. The automatic is conventional, parts are everywhere, and owners who service them normally can push these things for years without dealing with constant nonsense. It is not flashy, but it is deeply useful. I would stay more careful with 2008, 2009, and 2011, and I would treat 2015 as a softer caution year because complaint volume gets a little louder there, even if it is not a complete disaster. Used prices today usually sit in a realistic $10,000 to $17,000 range for the years we want, though miles, region, and trim can swing that around. Mileage-wise, these are absolutely fair game at 180,000 miles if they were maintained, and 220,000 miles is still believable with records. Mechanics like them because there is nothing weird here. It is a proven Toyota V6 in a practical shell that families did not usually abuse like off-road toys. Failure point 1 is the oil cooler line or seep trouble on older V6 trucks. If you see fresh oil on the lower engine area or signs of repair, pay attention, because a minor leak is a cheap fix compared with engine damage that can follow if oil loss is ignored. Failure point 2 is water pump wear and front suspension wear. Coolant smell, pink crust, or a faint chirp can point toward the pump, while clunks and nosedive tell you the front end wants parts. Those jobs are usually moderate, not fatal, but they should move the price. Failure point 3 is rare, AC line seepage or smaller age-related leaks. Weak rear cooling on a long drive or oily residue around lines should tell you the climate system needs a closer look. And rear AC work can get annoying in cost, because labor adds up. Check for oil or coolant residue underneath. Listen for front-end noise on bad pavement. And run the front and rear AC until the cabin feels cold and stable. Buy the cleanest V6 you can find, and this is one of those SUVs that quietly saves families from years of stress. If you keep a good SUV for 10 years, track maintenance, and value durable hardware over shiny badges, subscribe right now. Number 4. Lexus RX 350. If you want a luxury SUV that stays smooth after the warranty ends, this is where the smart money usually goes. The target here is 2013 through 2015 with a 3.5-liter V6 and the 6-speed automatic. That setup is the sweet spot because you get Toyota-grade durability in a softer, quieter shell without chasing the newest redesign hype. There is no true disaster generation in the RX line, which is one reason this model keeps holding value. But I would still skip 2010 and be selective with some 2016 to 2017 examples if the buyer hates the trackpad style tech or wants the most straightforward cabin possible. What mechanics like is simple. These do not come back with the same frequency of ugly surprise repairs you see in many European luxury SUVs. The engine is proven. The transmission is smooth. The fit and finish age well, and most parts and service knowledge are easy to source because the hardware is shared with a wider Toyota family. Used prices for the 2013 through 2015 RX 350 usually land around $14,000 to $20,000, depending on trim, drive type, mileage, and how obsessive the previous owner was. Safe mileage is also strong. 180,000 miles is not scary, and 220,000 miles is still workable if the records are complete and the truck was not neglected. The top failure points are not terrifying, but they matter. Number 1 is water pump seepage. Look for coolant smell, dried residue, or a slow drip after a drive. That repair is usually moderate, but ignoring it turns it into a bigger cooling problem. Number 2 is an AC compressor or climate control annoyance. Weak cooling, odd noises when the AC engages, or inconsistent cabin temperature are your clues. And luxury climate repairs can move from moderate to expensive faster than people expect. Number 3 is oil line or minor sealing seepage on older examples. A little sweating is common old car stuff, but active leaking should change the price discussion because resealing labor is not free. My buying check is simple. Drive it until warm, confirm the cooling system stays dry, make sure the cabin gets truly cold, and inspect the engine bay and underside for fresh fluid signs. If you want luxury without drama, this is one of the few SUVs that stays calm, comfortable, and reliable long after the warranty disappears. Number 3. Toyota RAV4. This is the SUV for people who want low-stress ownership, cheap upkeep, and zero interest in paying for badge drama. The sweet spot is the 2016 through 2018 LE or XLE with the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder and the 6-speed automatic. That is the lane I trust. You get a proven engine, a conventional transmission, simple service needs, and parts support so deep that almost any independent shop in America already knows the playbook. That is why mechanics like these. They are not exciting under the hood, and that is exactly why they work. Toyota kept this generation straightforward enough that routine ownership stays calm, instead of turning into a stream of electronic nonsense and drivability drama. I would treat 2013 and 2014 as less desirable because the complaint pattern is not as clean. And if we step into newer generations, I would still mention 2019 as a first-year redesign caution. Not because it is automatically terrible, but because first-year redesigns are where you let other people discover the annoying stuff. Used pricing still makes this thing look strong. Clean 2016 examples usually land in the mid-teens, and nicer 2018 XLE trucks can stretch toward $18,000, which keeps the realistic buying lane around $12,000 to $18,000 if you stay patient and avoid silly dealer pricing. Mileage-wise, 160,000 miles is still normal by territory if the service history is real, and 200,000 miles is not crazy if the fluids, brakes, and cooling system were not ignored. Now the honest part. Failure point 1 is water pump seepage. If you smell coolant, see pink crust, or find dried residue near the pump area, price it now before it becomes a bigger cooling bill. Failure point 2 is the torque converter or transmission hesitation in weaker years. If the shift feels lazy, weirdly delayed, or the truck feels unsure at lower speeds, do not explain it away. Failure point 3 is plain old suspension and brake wear. Vibration when braking, front end clunks, or a steering wheel that feels busy over rough pavement usually means you are paying for neglected wear items. My buying check is simple. Look for coolant residue. Drive it long enough to feel the transmission fully warm, then hit rough pavement and one firm brake test. This is the SUV for people who want quiet competence, not parking lot status. If you want year-specific picks, smart avoid years, and inspection advice that saves real money, subscribe now. We care about value, not shiny badges. Number 2. Lexus GX 460. This SUV looks expensive until you realize it is built to outlast most of the shiny alternatives people keep replacing. The zone I like is 2014 through 2019 in base or premium trim with a 4.6-liter V8 and the 6-speed automatic. That formula is the whole reason these stay expensive. You are getting Land Cruiser family durability, a truck frame, a smooth V8, a proven transmission, and the kind of long-haul reputation that makes high-mileage examples still sell for real money. I would not call the 2010 through 2013 trucks bad, but I would absolutely put them in the caution lane because they are older now. They carry more recall and neglected maintenance risk, and once deferred maintenance stacks up on a luxury truck, the bill stops being fun. Mechanics like the GX because it is sturdy where it matters. The engine is not stressed, the transmission is calm, the chassis is heavy-duty, and the whole thing feels engineered for long service instead of short lease life. That does not make it cheap to run, but it does make it trustworthy. Used prices prove the point. Older high-mile 2014 trucks can sneak $20,000 below, but the real market for decent ones runs from the high teens into the upper 20s, and clean later examples can push 30 grand without apology. Safe mileage is also part of the appeal. 200,000 miles is believable, and 250,000 miles is not fantasy if the truck got its fluids, cooling work, and suspension care on time. Now the honest part, failure point 1 is the valley plate coolant leak. If you smell coolant, see slow loss with no obvious drip, or notice residue buried in the engine valley, take that seriously, because diagnosis and labor can get expensive in a hurry. Failure point 2 is KDSS, or suspension leaking on equipped trucks. If it leans oddly, feels unsettled, or shows hydraulic seepage, you need to budget real money, not wishful thinking. Failure point 3 is air suspension trouble on some trims. A sagging rear, uneven height after sitting, or a compressor that keeps cycling tells you the plush ride may soon cost you. My buying check is easy. Start with ride height, then look for cooling clues, then drive it long enough to feel if the truck stays level, smooth, and silent. The GX is not cheap because it is not disposable. Number 1. Toyota 4Runner. This is the SUV the market already respects because even with big miles, it still feels more trustworthy than most newer options. The best target is the 2014 through 2019 SR5 or Trail, later called TRD Off-Road, with the 4.0-liter V6 and the 5-speed automatic. That setup is the reason people keep paying real money for trucks with 150,000 miles on them. It is body-on-frame simple. The V6 is proven, the transmission is durable, and the ownership story has been boring in the best possible way for years. If your budget allows, the latter part of that run is the sweet spot. If your budget is tighter, the old legend years from 2006 through 2009 are still worth remembering. The years I would be most careful with are 2003 through 2005, because that older range carries the roughest old truck baggage, especially rust and age-related pain. I would also treat 2010 through 2013 as less desirable if the goal is the safest value balance, not because they are junk, but because the latter run feels cleaner and easier to recommend. Prices tell the story better than hype ever will. Early 5th-generation trucks with big miles can still sit in the high teens, and cleaner 2014 through 2019. SR5 trucks often live between $18,000 and $28,000. That is why this finishes first. People who know what lasts keep buying them. Mileage-wise, 200,000 miles is absolutely normal shopping territory if the truck was maintained, and 250,000 plus miles is not unusual. Now the honest part. Failure point 1 is rust. If the frame, suspension mounts, or brake and fuel line areas look crusty, walk away, because rust is not a small repair. It is a structural fight. Failure point 2 is seized or dragging brake components. If it pulls, smells hot, or feels lazy coming off a stop, you may be looking at caliper work, rotors, and wasted time. Failure point 3 is XREAS, or suspension-related leakage on certain trims. If a limited or equipped truck feels oddly floaty or shows seepage at the shocks, budget for a real suspension decision, not a cheap patch. My buying check is simple. Crawl underneath for rust, do a full brake feel test, and inspect every corner for leaks or uneven ride behavior. The 4Runner wins because it stays useful, stable, and trusted longer than almost anything else in this market. Best picks by budget. Here is my ranked value call, and I'm not going to hide behind maybe answers. Under $10,000, the best buy is still the 2013 to 2014 Honda CR-V LX or EX. It is the easiest, clean, long-term buy in that bracket because parts are cheap, the drivetrain is proven, and you do not have to explain it to any shop in America. Under $15,000, I would take the 2016 to 2018 Toyota RAV4 LE or XLE. It balances reliability, fuel economy, parts cost, and low-drama ownership better than almost anything else, and current used listings still put solid examples right in that lane. Under $20,000, my pick is the 2014 to 2016 Toyota 4Runner SR5, because even at high mileage, it still gives you the strongest buy once. Keep profile in the group forever. The luxury wildcard is the 2014 GX 460, if you can handle higher fuel use, more tire cost, and the possibility of a heavier repair bill when something finally does need attention. Click the next video now because we are covering the SUVs that look durable, sound safe, and then become repair traps the second you buy the wrong year or engine. That list is where badge hype, turbo drama, and lazy shopping habits wreck budgets fast, and a clean-looking deal turns into months of noise, warning lights, leaks, and repair shop waiting rooms.